Extreme highs, extreme lows today, and that is just the roller coaster of being a Broncos fan at this point. Somehow, Sam Howell outplays the wily old vet, gets his first win on the road in one of the toughest environments to play in the NFL. And Broncos fans, rightfully just absolutely livid that this came down to what we all consider a defensive pass interference call. It shouldn't have even come down to that, but somehow the Broncos lose this game 35-33 to the Commanders at home. They're 0-2. I'm flabbergasted. I'm just beside myself.
Yeah, that one hurts.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
That one hurts really bad. There's so many ways to think about it, but to me, like, the one I keep coming back to is the schedule, the way the schedule played out. Like, you got the Commanders and the Commanders at home to start
2-0.
You're thinking 2-0. And not only that, but like when you're carving out a path for the Broncos to the playoffs,
yeah,
that's WW like really quick to start the season. To start 0-2 there is really, really, really hard to stomach.
Yeah, I think I'm sick of it now.
Now he's
I think
done.
I've gotten to a point where I usually see the brighter side of things, but right now it's looking pretty dim, and I don't like the way it's looking. We just can't put things together, man. When the offense is clicking, the defense is not. When the defense is clicking, the offense is not. I don't know where we go from here. We've just dug ourselves into a pretty deep hole that we're going to have to dig ourselves out of.
What's really sad, too, is it was alumni weekend at Empower Field at Mile High today. So you had all the big names out there celebrating Super Bowl 33. Broncos are in their white uniforms at home, which will never feel right. But they get out there. They light it up. They score a touchdown. Not just put points on the board. They score 3 touchdowns on their first 3 drives of this game, and then somehow have a colossal meltdown throughout the entire rest of the game. And I mean, like you guys said, now we're looking at this team 0-2, the chances of making the playoffs. We all know the numbers. We talked about in pregame. Just what are your biggest takeaways, I guess, from, I don't even know what we just saw. Meltdown.
My biggest takeaway is that Sean Payton has a lot of work to do to try and eliminate the losing culture problem that this team has.
Yeah.
When you get used to losing, I mean, we can feel it from this side of the TV, right?
Yeah.
Like when things start to unravel a little bit, it's, oh shit, here we go again.
Yeah.
If we can feel that, hopefully not all the players, but some of the players are thinking, uh-oh, we've been here before. And to me, that's what losing culture is. It's when the thought of losing creeps into your mind, then it becomes a lot more real. Teams that have winning culture think no matter what punch we get thrown, we're going to find a way to win. We're going to find a way to dig ourselves out of this.
Yep.
And it's not an overnight fix. It's not something that Sean Payton can just come in and say, we're going to win, we're going to win, we're going to win. And all of a sudden they're just going to win.
Yeah.
This takes time. It takes learning. It takes experiences like today. But eventually something has to change. And it's not there yet. So that's my big takeaway. Sean Payton's got a lot of work to do.
I feel like Sean, for the most part, called a really great game. And so this one I can't put on Sean. As much of a Russell Wilson fan and advocate I am, I'm going to say this is on him. They had complete control of that game until the pick by Russell Wilson and the fumble by Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Those were both on him.
Yeah.
And I think there was a couple sacks that I felt like were on him as well. So I feel like Sean can do all the coaching he wants, but if Russ continues to make kind of bonehead decisions, I think the team's destiny is still up in the air.
The fumble up 21-3 is something that Russell Wilson is going to lose sleep over tonight.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those plays where he didn't need to do anything.
Throw it away.
Exactly. You kind of made the play already by evading the pressure.
Yep.
But then you want more, and so you go and try and make a bigger play, and it's like the second that you get out of there, and when you're in that position, and if I'm not mistaken, they're pretty close to, if not in field goal range.
Mm-hmm.
Just live to see another down, throw it away. of course, there's a missed face mask on the call, and like that's like an underlying story that's woven into this game is a couple big missed calls. But Russ just has to think like, okay, we're in full control of this game. Let's not take any risks here. Throw it away, even just to protect yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what his thought process really is at this point in his career, just as a whole, because we all know what happened last year. We've talked about this ad nauseum, where it's like, okay, does he have the confidence that he needs to have as he goes out there night in and night out? And now I'm just concerned about what this does for him moving forward, because he's now started the season 0-2, and the shit talking has just begun.
Yeah.
Like, we were all holding off on that because we're like, all right, last game we could look at the defense, Sean Payton, and some other things. He played a really good game week 1. Like you said, this is on him.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the defense here in a second, but like right now, offensively, this is on him.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I understand his position. He wants to get last year out of everyone's mind, so I feel like he was pushing. Like, that fumble is a prime example of like you pushing to do too much instead of just making a smart play and living to see another day. You've already had 2 nice long passes to Marvin Mims. You've already had 3 touchdowns at this point. Like, you're playing a great game. Just stay in your pocket. Don't try to do too much. And it feels like he's kind of like, I guess, getting out of his element by trying to press and do extra and do more and more when they were at a prime position to win that game.
What do you think the message to the locker room is right now from Sean Payton?
I mean, it has to be just that it's early, right? Like, you know, you do have 15 more games this season. From our side of things, it's really hard to envision this team getting where they want to go, but you can't let that creep into your locker room if you're Sean Payton. Like, you know, like I'm already seeing it in the comments, and I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about it. Like Caleb Williams' season, you know, you're starting to think about draft picks. You cannot do that 2 weeks into the season. Even for us, like it's too early to do that. We can't talk about the draft for the next 15 weeks of football.
Kill me.
So if you're Sean Payton, you know, you'd have to be just pounding in the message that, look, we did some good things. We were in the right position. We had a couple breaks go against us, but don't hang your head. You know, you can't let that happen. Todd, you've been in locker rooms in these situations, like
with Sean Payton.
Yeah, like what do you think that message is? Am I on there?
Yeah, you're 100% on. The message is that was the first 2 weeks. Like you said, we got 15 weeks to go. You can't hang your head over. You can't cry over spilled milk. You got to keep going. They have a long schedule ahead of them, and it gets tougher as the year goes on. But it's not over for the Broncos. They still can do some things to regain control of their season. And it's just tough because I feel like every game they do something so well. You know, the first half of this game was like prime Broncos football, 21-3. Everybody's playing. Everybody's on their keys. And then the second half was just maybe as bad as it can get. So there's a lot we have to do on offense. There's a lot we have to do on defense. 35 points is never acceptable in anybody's on anybody's defense, so let alone ours. And we're known for having a good defense for so many years. Even when our offense was poo-poo chi-chi, so we always had like a solid defense. And so this is just not, you know, the Broncos defense that I know.
I want to talk defense a little bit for a second, just because I think heading into this game, like my score prediction was 17-16, but the Broncos were going to come out on top this time. I thought this was going to just be a defensive battle. But it wasn't. How?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the flow of a game is so interesting. And because the Broncos went up early and scored so fast, the game just became a different type of game, you know, and the Commanders had to open it up from what they wanted to do. And then obviously they bounce back and they score quickly. And so now the Broncos are having, and it was just like, I don't know. The only way I can describe it is like, that's just the way the flow of the game started. And it forced, you know, you'd love to say the Broncos just went and scored and made it 28-3 and just kind of buried them from there and started running the ball. But the Broncos never even got comfortable. You know, like they have that turnover. The Commanders go down and score, and all of a sudden 21-3 becomes 21-11. And which another weird call. There was absolutely no evidence, in my opinion, that he got across the line for that 2-point conversion.
I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah. It was
and then all of a
close.
sudden they're just like, yep, it was good. But anyways, it's 21-11, and like you don't feel like you're in control once again. So the Broncos keep pushing forward, and the Commanders keep pushing forward, and it kind of just spiraled like that.
And there was so many, I feel like, penalties at inopportune times, like whether it's the penalty on K-Jack or a holding call after we get a first down or we get a sack and then there's a defensive PI. Like, there were so many penalties at the wrong times, at the worst time for the Denver Broncos, that extended drives for the Commanders also stopped drives for the Broncos. I mean, one of the biggest things with having Russell Wilson, getting him back comfortable, is you have to stay on schedule. And I felt like sometimes within that second half, we found ourselves in 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15 situations, which I don't feel like we're built to win at this point.
Yeah. You know, when it comes to Russell Wilson and his timing, offensive line obviously plays a massive role in that. And last week we were talking about, damn, like, these guys look pretty good. Like, they're suddenly looking like the strength of our offense. And then this week, it was just, I mean, yikes. What happened this week with the offensive line? How do you take that big of a step back? I know the Washington front is just outstanding, so that plays a big role.
It's so weird because it's the same kind of story as the game, right? In the early stages of the game, you're thinking, man, they're dominating these guys up front. And this is Payton and Chase Young. And then all of a sudden, when the momentum flips, like, you know, it starts going the other way. And it really was probably the number one indicator of the momentum shifting against the Broncos offense, was just like, all of a sudden they're getting back there and Payton is like blowing up 3 straight plays. And, you know, I think that was it. As soon as the momentum shifted, for whatever reason, that gave that defense a little extra kick in the pants to get going, and the Broncos offensive line didn't have an answer for it. But then when they're able to string together those 2 drives late, they were protecting well again. And I don't know, it's hard to put into words, because it really does just feel like, you know, like in Madden, you have the momentum meter and everything can be going your way, and then it goes the other way, and you're like, oh, all of a sudden our guys can't block their guys.
Yeah, I think they need to do more work with Russell Wilson and how he plans to escape the pocket, because it felt like sometimes they actually were doing a pretty good job of blocking, but the way they were blocking their men is the way he tried to evade and got the pocket. So when he spun right into a defender, when actually the defender was blocked for most of the play. So I think they need to work on maybe what it looks like for Russell Wilson when he's trying to extend the play, and how I need you to move your guy. Do I need you to push him upfield? Do I need you to push him out? What is the best recipe for Russ to be able to get out of the pocket to extend the drive?
Yeah, for sure.
I think the way, going back to just the record and the schedule, I think the way you kind of have to look at this is like a game. Right now you're down 14-0.
Yep.
And you have an opportunity, you're getting the ball back to go make it 14-7 next week, you know? And just the same way that the Commanders did it today, you get that one boost. 14-7 feels a hell of a lot better than 14-0. And, you know, then it's a 1-score game. All you need is a stop and a score. Like, I think that has to be the message, is like, yes, it started out horribly, but there's opportunities ahead of you. The hard thing to really swallow this one is, you were dominating. And you should be 1-1 right now, looking to, you know, get on the right side of things next week.
At one point, I was like, this looks like a Super Bowl caliber team. Like, in front of the Super Bowl 33 champs, these guys are balling out, looking like a Super Bowl caliber team. And I just, the momentum shift from that fumble is just something, I don't think, like you said, I think Russ is going to lose sleep over it, but I just don't think we're going to be able to really put it into words or the perspective that it needs, because I think the Broncos right now, it is just a losing culture. And like you said, Sean Payton has a lot of work to do, but how do you change the culture? How do you get these guys to start thinking like, hey, in a situation where we're down, we're kind of falling apart, like, how do they overcome that? Like, I feel like they just can't overcome adversity.
Yeah, it's tough. I think the only way to overcome it is to do it. Similar to what the Lions are putting together now. I mean, they had 2 losing seasons, worst NFL record in a row, and then you start to see the momentum and culture change over time. I think you just have to go out there and do it. You have to be a part of a locker room that has done it and won and come from behind or won a close game. I think to all these great guys we have, even from Cortland and Jerry Jeudy and Pat Surtain, even though they're great players, they all have been in a system that has lost consistently for the past 3 or 4 years. Like, none of them have understood what it means to win a close game in the NFL. And do they have the potential to do it? Absolutely. They just haven't been around the culture and haven't been around a team and a quarterback and a leadership that has done it. So I think it's just going to take some more time for the Broncos to do that. But I have faith that over time they will be able to do it.
The hard thing is, like, the Broncos have tried every quick fix for this. You think that going out and getting the winningest quarterback through the first 10 years of his career in NFL history is like the quick fix. Oh, just bring in a winner, a guy who's like led these game-winning drives over and over and over again in his career. That didn't work. You think, okay, let's go get a Super Bowl winning head coach, you know, try and skip a few steps here, trade for him, do anything it takes to get winners in here. And it almost feels like, and it's too early to say this about Sean Payton, but it almost feels like rather than Russell Wilson being the cure, he was infected with the disease.
My dad even texted me an article asking if the Broncos are cursed. I don't know, but it feels like
Hoodoo voodoo.
We can't get right at this moment. I don't know. We bring in all the guys that we brought in are so talented and have such a winning resume. Why is it not working?
Yeah.
You know, that's the question. That's the big question mark.
Sold our soul for Peyton Manning.
Golly. Well, at least I won something.
There you go.
I know. At least you got something out of that. You want to know what I want right now? Just anything from Breckenridge Distillery.
Yeah.
Like, I need a drink.
I know. I lost my
heavy-
voice a little bit at the Buffs game yesterday. I could actually use that just to clear up the passageways.
Yeah, I need to clear it out. Maybe that'll clear my mind too, because I just feel like this game has
You
it
guys
a
want
little.
some shots? We have
I
some,
mean,
we have some
I wouldn't mind
shots.
sipping on a little something. Yeah, because
I don't
like
need to
I
say a shot,
feel,
but
I'll
I feel like
sip.
I'm in
Sipper.
pain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sipper for
nobody's
sure.
gonna slam anything right now. Yeah. Even though we all feel probably like everybody watching right now that drinks sound pretty good. So. If you have it on hand, pour yourself some Breckenridge Distillery. Did you know that it is award-winning spirits?
No, I didn't know that.
You know that.
Oh,
You
yeah, I do
sip
know
on
that.
This stuff.
Because Breckenridge Bourbon, the official bourbon of the Denver
What is
Broncos,
this? Can I have
they have
this
a
in a
ticket
glass?
contest where you can win 2 tickets to Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite for the Broncos versus Chargers game. December 31st, 2023 is going to be a great game to finish out the year. Another tight one, the AFC West. All those games are tight. They're close. Basically, the favorites will be narrowed to 10 favorites by the 4th of December through the 10th. Most votes win tickets and distillery Broncos swag. You can enter to
nice.
win at BreckenridgeDistillery.com/bourbon of Denver Broncos /Broncos Blizzard. There's a lot in there, but you make sure you go to BourbonDistillery.com. Check them out. We're going to be sipping on some bourbon. Breckenridge bourbon ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, Breckenridge.
So smooth. You hear that? My voice is back
hey,
already.
Cheers to having you back on the show. Todd, cheers.
It's good to be here. I have been.
I was hoping for a dub. I was like, RK is going to bring the dub. We're going to be able to talk about it. Oh, are you bringing glasses? That's nice.
That is nice. It's a little classy.
You're the man.
Ooh, that is smooth.
No matter what people say about you, you're all right, man.
Yeah. The only thing I have a problem with Yaya with right now is the fact that he, on my AFC West picks this week, he said that I picked the Raiders when I picked the Bills.
Oh, yeah.
So
She has Raider vibes, okay?
I
Just-
don't have a single Raider vibe.
I mean, you do like the Buffs. They're black. It just kind of.
Nope.
Let's just say the Buffs and the Raiders are nothing alike. There's
That-
no correlation.
that
I
is
just
true.
knew that drive was going to end up like the Buffs did. I think you said that too. Like you were just hoping for that to end like it did last night. We were so close. We were 1 2-point conversion away.
I know.
I know.
The Hail Mary.
I said to these guys before the show, I said I had it typed out. Actually, I hadn't typed it out, but I had it in my head. One day after the Buffs reenact the drive, the Broncos reenact the miracle at Michigan. They both trade their legendary moments. Unfortunately, pass interference got in the way of that.
I think officiating was questionable at best today.
Yeah.
I know we'll
Yeah.
probably go through each of these
If
at
Zach
some
was here,
point.
he'd be having a fit over us talking about the officials, but it's part of the story.
It is.
Why would he be having a fit?
Because he thinks that you should never talk about the officials no matter what happens.
I mean, do I agree that the Broncos should not have been in a situation where a DPI call at the very end of the game on a 2-point conversion with zeros on the clock is where we should be at? Absolutely not. But that was a blatant pass interference call that was missed. And there were numerous face masks that were missed on Russell Wilson. I mean, that was just the icing on the cake at the very, very end.
Yeah, Not a good game from the refs. Like I said, the
They just
2-point
wanna go
conversion
home.
one was weird.
Yeah.
Missed face mask on the game-changing play, which is that fumble.
Yeah.
Missed PI late. It is not the fault of the refs that the Broncos lost, but the refs hurt the Broncos in their attempt to win this game.
Yeah, we like to say don't ever let the refs be in a position to win or lose you the game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you have complete control over the game. Don't let the refs be able to make a call where it's, like a 2-point conversion with 0 time on the clock. Like, that's where the refs can control the game. But the Broncos played good defense and offense. We don't even have to be in that position. Like, we don't even have to let the refs have control of the game. There was a lot of calls, especially face masks. There was more than a few that I saw that should have been called. But, yeah, they missed a few on this game.
All right, I think we should go kind of chronologically in this one because the Broncos came out on fire, fast, exactly what Sean Payton wanted to see from this offense.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, you start with the missed field goal from Joey Sly.
Love that.
Who missed 2 really ugly attempts.
Very.
And then the Broncos go on a 7-play, 61-yard drive that, felt like it was the arrival of Sean Payton.
Yep.
Just hitting on everything, big runs, nice throw, a nice little zone read from Russ, who goes, and breaks off a big run. Like, it just had everything, including the nice sweep to Jaleel McLaughlin for the touchdown. And it's man, I tweeted out, I said, tone setter. I think Russ only threw 1 pass on the drive, and you just went down there and marched down their throats, and it felt really good. Felt really good coming off of that one.
And I love seeing Jaleel McLaughlin in the game, given the fact that I think that was his only carry of the entire day, right?
Oh, dang.
I'm pretty sure it was. He was somebody, when I saw him in the game, I'm like, okay, cool. Jaleel's here. Maybe Sean Payton's going to use him a little bit more this week, just because, like we talked about pregame, it is such a stable. All these guys bring something different. We saw Javonte. It was so
looked like
nice
Javonte.
to see Javonte Williams, no brace on his knee, just plowing through dudes. And I was just like, all right, he's back. I'm not worried about him. But it's fun to be able to use all 3 of these guys because of what they can do. Is there something to be said with, should we have seen a little bit more of Jaleel McLaughlin in this game? I can't say McLaughlin very well either.
Yeah, I think so. We talked about it on the pregame show. You wanted to stress the outside edges of this defense because of how good their front 4 was.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they did to get them down there in a scoring position and then go out there and score. We talked about sweeps. We talked about tosses. That's exactly what our game plan would have been had we been offensive coordinator. So I think he would have served a good purpose throughout the entire game because the offense did get stagnant towards that third quarter, and we could have used some more outside run. Even though our running backs were looking good at breaking tackles, you can't let go of how good he is on the edge and how fast he is. You always need that speed on the field.
Speed's so nice.
Whether it was Jaleel or Javonte or even Pirine, who I think only had 1 carry, I just thought they needed to run the ball more. Like I said, on that first touchdown drive, I think it's 5 runs and a pass. You were doing a great job, I thought, establishing the run early. And then as we talked about earlier, the pressure built up. I think Sean Payton's natural instinct is just to throw the ball because he's so good at designing throw plays. And I thought they got away from the run a little too much. All right, let's go back to the game here. I thought this could have and should have been the knockout punch. Washington goes on an 11-play drive that ends in a field goal for them. It's they really had to work for those 3 points. Broncos come back 1 play, 75-yard touchdown. When it's that's one of those ones where you just snatch their soul. Because they work so hard for 3. You go get 6 in 1 play or 7 in 1 play, and it felt like it was happening. 3 and out, first 3 and out from the Broncos defense all year. Right after that, they get the ball back. 9 plays, 90-yard touchdowns, 21-3. Everything's amazing. I tweeted out, am I having fun watching the Broncos right now?
You are. You're having a blast. And what I loved about that, too, is look who was scoring those touchdowns early in the game. Jaleel McLaughlin, Marvin Mims, and Brandon Johnson. We've been talking about, wow, does the Broncos wide receivers room have enough depth? Are there playmakers in that room? Holy shit. Marvin Mims is a playmaker. Marvin Hims.
He was making plays, and I feel like he's really going to have to step up and make more plays because if people are going to be doubling Courtney and looking at wherever Jeudy is lined up, you're going to have a one-on-one matchup with Marvin Mims, and I think taking a shot down the field, he's too fast, man. You can see that. He's a good deep threat, and I think he really showed his versatility today. I'm mad they didn't give him more opportunities to do that. And I feel like they got away from the run, but at some points the pass looked so good. Those couple plays, like they were really able to put together good passing drives and quick passing drives to really put points on the board. But yeah, they lost it.
Another 3-and-out right after from the defense, and so the defense is going to catch a lot of flack in this game. But like they put it on a platter for the Broncos offense to deliver the knockout punch. Marvin Mims almost does it on the punt.
Yeah.
45-yard punt return, and it feels like, okay, they're just going to go bang, bang, bang and end this game.
I literally thought I was watching, like, Pee Wee football.
Yeah.
Like, just children out there just making the Commanders look, ridiculous.
Yep, and I think you don't want this play to get overshadowed, not to throw blame on someone who probably wasn't going to catch it, but right before the fumble, a nice run for the Broncos for 7 yards. It gets called back for a Ben Powers holding. And that felt like what kind of threw off the rhythm, threw them out of sync. The next play is the fumble from Russell Wilson. Like we talked about, they got away from the run. Well, they were running it well. They had a nice run there. It gets called back.
So is Ben Powers to blame?
No.
I'm kidding.
No, Ben Powers not to blame. But I will tell you, as a player, if another team goes up 28-3, unless you're in the Super Bowl, the game is over. Like, we're done and we're moving on. We're looking forward. Like, if they were able to score right there, that's the kill shot.
Yeah.
These boys aren't going to want to come out. They're not going to have fire for the second half, the rest of the game. It would have been over. Like, that was the moment where they had to stick the nail in the coffin and end the game.
Yep. Even a field goal in that situation, 24-3.
Yep.
You're feeling great. Obviously, the Commanders go right down, 9 plays, touchdown drive. And like I said, this is, to me, when I, on my couch at home, thought, oh, shit.
Yep.
Here we go again. And especially when the break didn't go their way with the overturned 2-point conversion, it's like things just flipped. And obviously, from there, it starts to get away from them. Broncos go 3-and-out on their possession. They get it back. They give it back to the Commanders, who go get a field goal before half. All of a sudden, your 21-3 lead is 21-14 at half, and you're just sitting there kind of thinking, like, what just happened?
Yeah.
It seemed to have gotten away from them really, really quickly. And you go from the 2 plays, minus 6 yards and the fumble for the Broncos offense, and then they come out 3 plays, 8 yards and a punt. And then when they come back out
from the half,
you're looking at 3 plays, minus 11 yards and a punt.
You're thinking to yourself,
you're like, what?
Okay, we get the ball, right?
Yeah,
Let's
we're going to be
score,
fine. Yeah,
make it a 14-point game. Yeah, exactly. They go backwards 11 yards in 3 plays, punt the ball, and you just know what's going to happen. 5 plays for the Commanders, 57 yards, touchdown, tie game. Okay, again, all right, all of that's happened, but we have the ball. The game's in our hands.
It's going to be fine.
Interception. Russ looks completely out of sorts for the whole drive.
Nobody was even there.
No.
Cortland ran a completely different route than whatever he was throwing.
Yeah, and I think it was probably one of those options where it's like, if they're off, turn around. If they're pressed, you go long. Whatever reason they miscommunicated on it. Russ throws the back shoulder or the curl, and the corner's sitting right on it. Easy pick. And that was the second. It should have been the second time he was picked on that drive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He
missed
the play right
Jeudy.
before. The play right before was a pick as well that was just dropped.
Yep. And we forgot to talk when K-Jack went out. Like, he's a big piece of this defense. And now you have already low safety room as far as with injuries. They only came to the game with 3 safeties. Now you have to have like a rotating list of guys between Delaney and Turner-Yale, Fabian Moreau, like guys that really haven't established himself in the NFL. They're trying to fill a void of a 14-year NFL veteran that knows what he's doing and makes plays. Like, that's also a key to why they were able to start putting together drives in the second half, because K-Jack's not there. I think there's certain drives and certain plays that K-Jack makes, even in the run game, that aren't able to be made because he's not there the whole second half.
I think we really saw his absence on that Terry McLaurin 30-yard touchdown, where you have Delarrin Turner-Yell and Damari Mathis kind of just like touching him like, oh man, like we were out of sorts, out of place. And it was that moment where you're like, damn, if K-Jack was on the field. And I think what's concerning most right now is that's like 2 weeks in a row that K-Jack, I know he's not doing it intentionally, of course not, but as a 14-year vet, part of me is just like, you have to be smarter in those situations, right?
Yeah, he can't take himself out the game like that.
Like,
I know
that
he
kills
was.
us.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to get the ball out after the completion, but we need him. He's too important. And I think that play that you're talking about is a prime example. Like we said, they needed to help Damari Mathis this game. They gave him help, safety over the top, 2-on-1. Like you guys are supposed to block or at least break up that pass some way, somehow. But you have two young dudes against a really, really talented wide receiver, and he comes away with the ball. I think if K-Jack is there, that's not even a touchdown. Like, we're able to break that up.
Yeah, I mean, K-Jack, I like your point about him being a veteran. Like, I know he plays with his hair on fire and he plays with a certain edge, and you almost have to expect that these things are going to happen once in a while, but they have no depth at the position.
Yeah.
And you just cannot afford that. I go back, a lot of people calling it like a dirty play. I don't know.
I don't think it was dirty.
I don't think it's dirty.
He's trying to get the ball out.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
really not trying to take his head off like that.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. It's like, it's a bang bang play. It was worse than the one last week.
Yeah.
The one last week, I didn't even necessarily I thought it was just bad luck that ended up being a helmet-to-helmet collision. This one, you're launching yourself right into a guy high. You can't do that, and he got ejected, and I don't think you can really even make a case that he shouldn't have been ejected. But I don't think he was trying to hit the dude in the head. He's just trying to knock the ball loose.
Do you think last week's plays into this week's call at all?
Like if the refs do have conversations, and then also other coaches have conversations like, hey, watch out for 22. Like he goes after people's heads. Make sure you're like. So I don't know if it plays into it, but I will say that it is known that coaches have conversations with refs before games about specific players, their tendencies, whether it's holding, hitting, aggressiveness, when you're going up against certain players.
Yeah.
All right, moving back on here. After the Russell Wilson interception, I felt like the Broncos were gift-wrapped an opportunity to get it back. Jonathan Cooper, great play off the edge, knocks it loose. Of course, it can't bounce to the Broncos because that's just not the way things happen right now. But they knock him way back to the edge of their field goal range. Joey Sly, not even close again. And I'm thinking, okay, here's your chance. Like the meter just swung back in your favor. Broncos do a good job of capitalizing on it. I guess half capitalizing on it. They get the lead back, 24-21. And then this is like the story of really the post-Super Bowl 50 Broncos. You have a chance with the defense to go and take back control of the game. You just need one stop. We're up 24-21. They give up a touchdown drive, and it's like all the momentum that you just pried back right out the window.
Yeah, I feel like right now their brand of defense feels like bend but no break. Don't break a lot of cover three, I'm seeing, but we're breaking. We're bending, and then we're breaking. Like we're not actually – that defense works if you can get a stop at the 30 or 40-yard line where you're forcing them to kick long field goals or long punts. But I don't think it's working right now because it's eventually breaking. I think they're getting touchdowns when we want to hold them to field goals or punts. And we have to figure out how to be a more aggressive defense and be more so a body on a body. If we need to play more man and help where it's needed, then that's what we need to do. We have to be more aggressive, I feel like.
I feel like the Broncos pass rush was there today, but then the secondary, I know for a fact there's not going to be anybody more pissed off in that room than Christian Parker today. Defensive backs coach for the Broncos. He's a fiery guy, and his guys didn't show up today.
Yeah, I mean, Pat's always going to show up, right?
Pat did.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in his own little corner over here. He got a
I still hate seeing other teams' number one wide receivers make big plays in big moments, and Pat's not guarding them.
Yeah.
You have Terry McLaurin making that big play in the end zone, and you're just like, I hate
Damari Mathis.
Exactly.
DTY.
I want to see Pat Surtain on their best player when the game's on the line. I guess the game wasn't necessarily on the line in that moment, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It has to be some reason why they don't have him travel all the time. Is there one? I don't know if there's one side of the field that Damari Mathis is quote unquote they feel better at. that they
Yeah.
want to keep him on that side as best as they can because it just seems simple to have him travel. And then when you send help to Damari Mathis, just send it away from wherever Pat Surtain is. It feels like it would be a simple fix, but they're not having him travel right now. And it makes a big difference because when he's lined up against the star wide receiver, you see what happens. His pass breakups, it's an 8-yard catch. Like, we'll live with those. But when he's not, it's touchdowns and big plays.
So after that touchdown, Broncos get the ball back. They're down 4. Again, it's one of those moments where you're like, all right, can we get a drive here? No. 3 and out. Right back. And then again, you're saying, okay, defense, this is where we need you most. Go get us one. Give us another chance here. No. Another touchdown. That makes it 35-24. Broncos get the ball back. They're going up against a really soft defense from Washington, who's really just trying to make them eat up clock. That's what they do. 15-play drive ends in a field goal. They can't punch it in. They almost get the onside kick.
So close.
It's like
That
a
was
perfect
a perfect
onside
kick.
kick.
It was a perfect kick.
But they don't. They do a great job. Use their timeouts. Get the ball back.
Yep.
I mean, this part of the game almost feels like a fever dream. It's like they have no shot, no way. They get all the way up to the 50-yard line, so good plays from Russ. They get the Hail Mary somehow, some way. First of all, a perfect Hail Mary ball from Russell Wilson, getting it way up in the air, giving it a chance. Like, it's so – defensive backs aren't used to reading the ball coming down that high. That's why you see, like, Aaron Rodgers, he's completed a bunch of these, or at least a significant amount of them. So he gets the moon ball up there. It tips Brandon Johnson. Incredible reaction in the air. Tips it to himself. And you're thinking, oh, my God, we might have a legendary moment here. 2-point conversion. Pass interference. Not called. Felt like Russ had plenty of time. I don't necessarily blame the read. It was a nice play from the Commanders defender to kind of get back. He was going one way, got back the other way, saw the route developing, got away with one. And what was like such a roller coaster because you're the highest of highs and then immediately drop off and the game's just over before you know it.
Yeah, gut wrenching.
Yeah, I hate to see it end like that. I'm frustrated that we were even in that position. We tried to go to Cortland on that play, and I feel like we should have went to Cortland more throughout the game. We used him towards the end. He caught that nice out route that even put us at the 50-yard line. He made some nice plays, but we really didn't utilize him throughout the game. So I think to go to him there, I don't know what the game plan was, but it sucks that we're even in that position. We should have had that game won.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see Cortland Sutton until 7 minutes into the third quarter. Like, I'm trying to figure out how your captain, your 50-50 ball guy, I mean, big contract guy. Like, you paid this man to make big plays, and now you're not even looking at him. And I mean, we saw him on 3rd and 2. Russ looked at him. He picked up the first down. He kept the drive alive. All good things, but I'm with you. I'm a little flabbergasted as to, like, why not use Cortland Sutton and that big body a little bit more? And that just gives Russ the opportunity to throw up more of those 50-50 balls and just let him go get them. And he will. He'll come down with majority of them.
Cortland is such a tough case because it just feels like he disappears in games. He disappears in series. He catches that ball, I think, on a 3rd down conversion late in the game, and it was like, Court's here? Like, he's playing today?
You forgot about him, I know.
And he does make big plays. So, he certainly had a knack for going and getting those 50-50 balls early in his career before the injury. But I'll be honest, since that injury, we haven't seen it, I don't know, ever, if we've seen him go get one of those.
Have we seen the opportunities, though?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that we've even seen the opportunities. I feel like it's not that he's missed it. I know last year he may have had some, drops at inopportune times, but I feel like that's out the window. He's made the catches this year. He's made big plays, and they haven't given him one 50-50 ball yet. There was one time on the goal line where we ended up sitting for a field goal. They had one-on-one coverage on Cortland. I'm like, oh, fade ball to Cortland right now. They don't throw it. We end up getting the pass blocked down, and we had to go for 3. But, like, they're not using him. Like, they're not specializing any plays for Cortland right now.
I used to say early in his career, I used to call it the Cortland Sutton rule, which was if you cross the 50-yard line and you get single coverage, just give him got to give him one.
Take a shot.
Yeah.
Give him one. And you're right. It's completely gone from the offense.
Yeah, Cortland, he finished with 5 catches and 7 targets, 66 yards, averaging a little over 13 per catch. Long was 21. I don't know. I guess I have really high expectations when you have an offensive genius like Sean Payton drawing plays up, especially like when you're talking about passing the ball, like you said, that's what he likes to do. And you have a guy like Cortland Sutton who he hasn't even put him in a position to see what he can really do outside of practice. It's just weird. Just weird to me.
Should we tell about some of our friends before we bring Zac Stevens in?
I think we should.
Right.
I think we should check in. Are we at Backus and Shanker?
Oh, big shout out to Backus and Shanker.
Big shout out because they win. They win all the time. And I think we would like to see more wins, but thankfully Backus and Shanker is winning for us. And you guys know that they help those who are seriously injured in Colorado. They've been doing it for more than 25 years, and they help you win money for your case, and you don't have to pay anything until they do. There's no fee while they work your case, no fees unless they win your case, and they win all that money for you. Backus and Shanker, they've won over $1 billion for their clients everywhere too. Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, Fort Collins. They have the strength and the power to win you your case. More than 30 lawyers and 100 on staff. So they're always there working for you to make sure that they can get you money. So Backus and Shanker, like you guys know, car accidents, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrian, truck, any of those cases where you were not at fault, they will help you. All you need to do is
Smash the two.
Smash the two. Smash the two. 222-2222 to find out if you have a case for free. Backus and Shanker, they win. I love them. Love my friends at Backus and Shanker.
Who else do you love?
Who do you love? I don't know. Tell me.
Some
I love a lot.
Bet365?
I love Bet365. I love Breck Brew. I love Breck Distillery. Like, I could go on a rant.
We got the killer bees: Breck Brew, Backus and Shanker, Breck Distillery, and Bet365.
And Broncos.
I made a bet at Bet365 today.
Oh, how'd that go?
It went amazing because I bet on the Broncos to score over 20 points today, and they did it in mere minutes. Felt like things were going really well. I also had a same-game parlay that would have hit if the Broncos just won the game. But you can get in over at Bet365 on all of their amazing deals, all of their amazing promotions. Great odds over there at Bet365. And when you download it, you got to use the code DNVR365 to get in on some incredible promotions. Bet365 has been doing this overseas for a long time. They're kind of one of the leaders in the UK. They brought it over here to the US, and so you got to get on over at Bet365 with our friends. Of course, must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Let's bring in our really good friend, Zac Stevens, down on the field. Must have just wrapped up with the post-game press conferences. What did you learn, Zac?
Oh, man, Sean Payton is pissed. Last week, I told you I was surprised when Sean Payton came out to the podium and was just not okay with the loss, but he wasn't so frustrated like a lot of Broncos fans were. He said, it's okay, just the first game. We did a lot good on offense, did some good things on defense. It's just a unique game. Throw that out the window. That was not the case with Sean Payton after this game, and it shouldn't be as well, and it wasn't because of the officiating. It was because he thought the defense played poor. He thought the offense played poor for 2.5 quarters. And this team just does not know how to close a game. This is an 18-point lead the Broncos had in the first quarter and a half. It was the largest lead that they've had in the Russell Wilson era. It was as good as things could be. And then that also means it's the largest blown lead in the Russell Wilson era. This is the fourth biggest home loss by 18 or more points when they had that lead. It's the biggest fourth blown loss of the Broncos ever. So this is just so incredibly disappointing. And that's to stack on top of the 0-2 start that this now means for the Broncos.
Yeah, I think you had a really good perspective, just obviously from where you're at in the press box. It sounded like this irate with this team at numerous points throughout. How was the energy in the building, and how do you think that kind of played into the, I don't want to say like losing mentality that this team has, but the fans aren't believing, they're not believing. It sounds like it was just a dumpster fire.
Life was absolutely sucked out of this building. When the Broncos are up 21-3, everything's great. This place is rocking. It's such a fun environment, which I haven't been able to say for many years, only a couple of times over the past many years. And then when the Broncos gave up the field goal at the end of the half, and it's 21-14 going into half, you started feeling life sucked out of the building. Then Russell Wilson's fumble and his interception later. Then in the fourth quarter, I kid you not, nearly every single play, you heard boos, you heard frustration, you heard grumbling going on. And by the time that the Broncos were down here in the red zone with 2 minutes left, an opportunity to get a touchdown from their 1 yard line to make it a 3-point game, half the stadium was gone. This team just does this fan base, I should say, just does not believe in this team. And as I can see, Ryan, that's how I have to imagine that the team feels. And I'm not putting this on the fans by any means, but it just continues another year. Last year it was supposed to be Russell Wilson figuring out, showing this team how to win. This year it was supposed to be Sean Payton showing this team how to win. And it doesn't matter what it is. This team just does not know how to win, and they do it in just a massive, massive meltdown.
Yeah, I feel like the fan base, rightfully so, absolutely livid when your team goes up 21 points. They score 3 touchdowns in a row. At least give us a little bit of that positive of what that was like early in the building, because it felt fun. I mean, we were having fun watching from the couch, but it had to have been fun there. I want to see more of it.
It was electric, and it's what Russell Wilson's supposed to be. He's supposed to have the best moon ball in the NFL. Sean Payton is supposed to have this offense that's explosive, and we were begging for Marvin Mims. 2 passes that he caught in the first quarter and a half, 1 for a touchdown, 1 for another 53 yards. He gets 113 yards, and we're saying this is what we're talking about. More of this. And there was none of it to be found until just a miraculous Hail Mary at the end of the game. But it was fun. I mean, Russell Wilson, 5 for 6 for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, perfect passer rating. This is what it was supposed to be like. And then everything fell apart. And you know what I'm so frustrated with is Marvin Mims didn't get the ball once after that. He didn't get a single target after that. I don't understand. Something's working. Why not continue to go to it? And I could tell talking to Sean Payton, I told you he was pissed at the offense. He was pissed at the defense. He even said the defense played poor, and you can see that by giving up 35 points in a game. But he is not happy with his quarterback, Russell Wilson. And this is the dynamic that we've all been waiting on. We've all been covering since Sean Payton was hired at the beginning of February. How is this going to work out, especially if things go wrong? Is Jarrett Stidham brought in to become the quarterback? Well.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Dang, Yaya hung up, man.
Yeah, it feels like Yaya just cut him out.
I feel like I saw some mouse movement, and then he was gone.
It was very unfortunate because it happened right when I was trying to turn him off.
Oh,
and
my
it's
God.
gas muted himself. I'm like, okay, cool, thank you.
I feel like it probably wasn't Yaya's fault, but I'm just going to blame him anyways because he's sitting right there.
I found it to be poetic that Hurt So Good is playing in the background.
Oh, my God.
Sometimes I feel like as Broncos fans, we're gluttons for punishment.
It doesn't hurt so good right now.
It hurts very bad, actually. I'll ask you guys the question I was going to ask Zach. Zach and I used to do a segment on this show after losses called the Blame Game.
Yep.
You got to pick one person. Who are you blaming the most for the loss?
Russell Wilson.
Oh, quick answer.
Quick answer.
Todd's like, I hate this. He's like,
Yeah,
it's
I
not.
don't
It's
even
a
want to
team
play
game.
this game.
I know. It's tough. Oh, hey, Zach. Welcome back.
Oh,
right.
Zach's back. We got to talk
Hey,
to Zach.
we'll play blame game with him.
Zach,
No, we don't want to say bye to Zach.
Zach, I told them we used to play the Blame Game on this show after a loss like this. So who are you pinning this one on?
Man, I mean, it's tough not to go to Sean Payton and this coaching staff. And I got to say, I did that last week. And I got to say, when it comes to Sean Payton, he put the blame on himself. Every time he blamed the offense, every time he blamed the defense, every time he blamed Russell Wilson, which I'll get back to in a second because I feel like I left you on a cliffhanger there. He came back and said, and that starts with me, and I've got to make it better. You're up 21-3. How do you lose that? How do you go away from what was getting you there in the first place? Why would you do that? It's just like the Broncos. It's just like CSU last night. CSU was doing such a good job containing CU, and then what do when they're backed up to the 2-yard line? They play prevent defense. They play a totally different defense. No, do what got you there. Don't stop taking the deep shots. Why limit Russell Wilson to do deep shots a game? No, so I have to now. Obviously, there's a lot of areas you can go. Sure, the officiating was not good. They missed a couple of face masks on Russell Wilson. They missed a clear PI at the end of the game. The officiating was not good. But I don't care how bad the officiating is. If you're up 21-3, you win that game every single time, regardless of how bad the officials are. So officials were really bad. Cortland Sutton was asked about it at the end of the game, and he said, there's plenty of cameras out there. You all can see what happened. I can see what happened. You can see what happened. Everyone can see what happened. But when you're up 21-3, you shouldn't need a Hail Mary, which literally was incredible. That would have been one of the best plays in Broncos history if then it would have followed with a 2-point conversion or a win. You shouldn't need that when you're up 21-3.
Yeah.
The Broncos had this game ended. I mean, the Commanders were a 17.5-point dog at one point in the game, plus like 2,000, and you lose this. It's unacceptable. And so going back to Russell Wilson and what Sean had to say after the game about him, he said communication was not good in the second half with the offensive side of the ball. Fans were losing their minds, including me. I was losing my mind when the Broncos had the ball with 7 minutes left, down 11 points. It's like, okay, they got 3 timeouts, 7 minutes. This is still a game. Yes, it's not in their favor, but they have plenty of time to go down. Explosive plays, and boy, were they taking their time down the field. They were going slow. They're staying in bounds. They're throwing 2-yard passes that are staying in the field to play, not stopping the clock. They get all the way to the 1-yard line, and then they have to settle for a field goal. Not only that, but Russell Wilson is sacked, so they have to call a timeout. I mean, this is just infuriating on everyone on the offensive side of the ball, Russell Wilson included. And here's the kicker. Sean Payton was so upset about the communication. I think this was a jab that he intentionally threw in there. He said, if we have to go to a wristband, we will. And that, to me, just showed how pissed off Sean Payton is with Russell Wilson in the second half and really the final 2.5 quarters of this game. To me, I don't – but you guys can do a better job of contextualizing just how much of kind of an insult that is coming from the head coach after a game.
Oh, we'll dig into that.
Yeah, I love your energy, man. I can tell you're really fired up. Are you using that energy throughout the game? Are you starting some chants like "Let's go Broncos"? Like, how are you using that energy throughout the game?
It would just hit the glass in front of me and bounce right back, and not really work. But the energy, it was crazy, Todd. I mean, it was sucked out of the building, and I that final 7-minute drive, not the final one, but the one where there was 7 minutes left and they burned 5 minutes off the clock. There was some boos here and there. But it was really the energy sucked out of the building like I've never felt before, just because fans were like, what is going on? And I think it's because it was the quarterback last year. That didn't work, but they had hope. Now it was Sean Payton, the guy that knows how to fix Russell Wilson, or at least run a competent offense. And then for those 5 minutes, it was like, what is happening? What is happening? And I think that's one of the reasons Sean Payton was so frustrated at the end of the game, is he knows that what just happened was unacceptable.
Well, I hope the players in the locker room are as pissed off as Zac Stevens is right now.
I know, for real. Zach, was there anything else, maybe from anyone other than Sean Payton, that you found to be notable after the game?
Russell Wilson took a lot of this on himself. Communication has to be a lot better. That starts with him. But I think fans are out on this team, and the players aren't yet. And you never expect a player to come out there and say this is over. But the fans' reaction to what players are saying after the game of like, we're there. I think Mike McGlinchey said we're going to turn this thing around. One of the things that Jonathan Cooper said was, he said, disappointing, frustrating, and upsetting. But most of all, this is frustrating because we are a good team. Yeah. We just aren't winning yet. And I think fans are sick of that. Fans are sick of hearing that now because they're 0-2. They just lost 2 games at home. In fact, in the Super Bowl era, there's only 2 teams that have started 0-2 with their 2 losses at home that have gone on to make the playoffs. So the odds are incredibly stacked against the Broncos for this. And it's tough because now you look and you're going into a Miami team that knows how to put up points in a hurry and never stops putting up points. The Broncos have showed flashes of it. So you can sell some hope that this team can keep up with the high-scoring offense. But you got to stick with it. You got to stick with what works. And Russ's moonball, the first quarter and a half, were great. And one of the things that Russ was a little off on in his post-game press conference, he said, in the first half, we were great. Second half, need to do some things better. No, the Broncos really started blowing this game with 9 minutes left in the second quarter. They didn't even put together a full first half. So it was just very disappointing because we saw flashes of greatness from this team. and then just an absolute meltdown disappointment.
All right, Zac, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Keep this energy. I like this. Bring this Zac to the pod tomorrow. We're looking forward to hearing
I'm
you.
pissed. I'm pissed because
I know,
I
we're
want to
pissed
be
too.
happy. I want to see this team win, and it's just another year, and they're down in the dumps again. But who knows? Maybe a miracle happens in Miami next week, and maybe Miami loses. Maybe Bill Belichick puts out the blueprint right now on Sunday Night Football of how this gets turned around.
Well, we appreciate you, Zac. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you here in a little bit.
Thanks for having me.
Later, Zac.
You're more than welcome. It's your podcast. You know what I mean? It's your podcast. Thanks for having me. Okay.
First of all, great energy.
Great energy. That's what we.
I feel like that's what. I feel like that's what people wanted from me. Coming on here, being that mad. I'm like too beaten down.
Yeah,
to
emotionally.
be that upset about Broncos game. So I'm glad that Zac still has it. He still has the juice.
That's why we love him.
For sure.
That's why we love him. I think let's go back to what he said about if we have to wear a wristband, we will. And then we'll go back to the blame game because I think Todd needs a little bit more time to figure out who he wants to blame.
We were listening to Zac.
Yeah. So now
we're talking about wristbands.
I want to talk a little bit about the wristband thing, and then we are going to go back to blame game. You guys, last quarterback we saw here wearing a wristband. Did his name rhyme with Shmoo Schmock?
I think Russ actually had to put the wristband on last year.
Last year, a couple times, but remember when he was pretty adamant about losing the wristband. I think.
Yeah, to me, I think more will be made of that than there should be. In my opinion.
Wear the wristband.
Why not? Why would you not have the help? Just
100%. Especially if communication is an issue.
That's a big deal.
Why?
That's a huge deal. That means that whatever's going on, you aren't competent enough to just go out there and orchestrate the play, and you can't get the information to the parties that it needs to get to in order for us to run a play. That's a big deal. Now everybody has to wear wristbands to be able to get the play. That means that there's a huge lacking of communication, organization, leadership on that football field when the offense is out there. That's what that means.
Is this what Zac said last week? Do we owe Nathaniel Hackett an apology? Can Russell Wilson physically not communicate with his offense?
That's like? That's like us doing the podcast when you're not on here and telling Zac, hey, keep this earpiece in, and I'm going to tell you what to say because it's not going smooth unless I tell you exactly what to say. That would be a big deal.
I'm going to start wearing a wristband with the ad reads on it.
I actually could use one of those straight up.
Man.
I'm not
To
ad
me,
read
Sean
pro
Payton's
yet.
I remember when I was a kid, we used to have I think this is socially unacceptable now, but dogs used to have bark collar, shock collars. And I remember my dad would threaten the dog with it, you want me to put this on? And the dog would calm. That's what it feels like Sean Payton's doing. He's don't make me put on the shock collar. I mean, you don't want to be in that position, but to me, if you need help in that area, let's put the shock collar on.
Yeah, I mean, if that was just how they ran their offense, then that's one thing. Then they just have wristbands, and that's just how they do it. But to have to need a wristband because you guys can't get organized, you guys can't communicate the plays, you guys can't get lined up right and execute, I think that says a lot about your leaders on the offensive side of the ball.
Fair.
I have a question. Is the offense too complicated for Russell Wilson and this group right now? The play sheet is the size of Texas.
By the way, Sunday Night Football on right now as the Dolphins score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Tua wearing the wristband.
Hey,
second year in the offense.
Whatever helps you be right. And this is the first year in Sean Payton's offense. So
if we're gonna do this, what it's looking like right now with the wristbands, throw them on.
I think you make a good point though, Todd. Even the fact that Sean Payton's using it as a form of punishment tells you that it's not something that you want to go. It's like you never want to hear about a players only meeting. All of these things are just red flags. This is a red flag that it's not clicking, and they exhausted all of their timeouts in the first half just because of clock situations. I think that after all the delay of games last year, Sean Payton said I'm not allowing delay of games. I'll burn my timeouts rather than take delay of games. But Alexis, you asked, is Russ not capable of communicating this? I mean, he did it for 10 years. It's not like this was a huge problem, clearly he was a lot more comfortable in that Seattle offense.
I've heard stories. I don't want to
Okay.
get into it.
Okay.
But I've heard stories about how there may have been assistance with guys coming on field with a play rather than everything going through Russ. Guys may have came
Interesting.
on field with a play. Another player may have had a play to give to Russ. Like it wasn't. Not saying that he never just had control of it.
Yeah.
I think he might have had more assistance than just him doing it for 10 years.
So my retort to that would be, if you've heard this, surely Sean Payton has heard this. Why are we not doing it that way?
Yeah.
Do it the way that works. Like, you know, I don't know if this will ever happen, but a lot of times you get these kids coming in, these quarterbacks coming in from college, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, they've always got the plays off the board from the sideline.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we too proud to call the plays off
Yeah.
the board on the sideline? Like,
Nothing to be ashamed
do what
of here.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you're winning football games, I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of. Whether it's a whiteboard or a wristband, like, do what's going to work, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to hear a bunch of people bitching and moaning after a game being like, oh my God, he had to refer to the wristband numerous times. We're going to bitch and moan when we see a product like this on the field.
I'm pretty sure the last time
Well, the last 2.5 quarters.
the Broncos scored 21 points in the first half was Drew Lock's start against the Texans.
Houston, yeah.
Had the wristband on.
Yeah, Buzz Lightyear, right?
Yeah. Buzz Lightyear.
Let's go into some of like the keys to the game, things that we talked about throughout the week that we felt like were going to have a huge impact in whether or not the Broncos were going to win or lose this game. And quickly, before we even get into like our in-depth list, Todd pregame every single week on the countdown, he gives us the Broncos will win if, and this week it was the Commanders will win if. And this week it was the Broncos will win if the defense has 2 or more turnovers, and the Commanders will win if their defense has more than 4 sacks. Well, they did have more than 4 sacks.
Yep.
And they had 7
Sheesh.
sacks on Russell Wilson, and their defense is the one that created the turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, the statistics I gave earlier before the game, like you're almost an 85% favorite if you have 2 turnovers
Yep.
in a game. So, I mean, even though we had a shot at the end, I think the statistics say that the Commanders were supposed to win that game. They made so many plays. Sacks are really momentum stoppers, and, you know, they had a sack fumble. They were able to, you know, disrupt Russell enough for him to throw interceptions. Yeah, I mean, just like I said, the Commanders will win if, and that's how they got it done.
I think something that's interesting that we were talking about pregame as well was just the return of Jeudy.
Yep.
The hype that was what Jeudy does for this offense. And yeah, he does, you know, open things up a little bit for him for sure. Did we see enough from Jeudy today? Was he on a pitch count? What was going on with Jerry?
Yeah, it seemed like he was definitely on the pitch count.
Yeah.
He would be in there for like 1 or 2 plays at a time.
Yeah.
They were trying to get him back healthy. He got a couple plays where he caused the pass interference because they were holding him, but I don't think there was enough explosive plays given to him. I think maybe the Marvin Mims plays would have been Jeudy plays had he been healthy all year.
Yep.
So I look for Jerry to do more and be able to take on more plays as the season goes on, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just looking through the stats right now, and sorry if I'm derailing a little bit, but
derail.
you know, you look at Russ's stat line, and it is a little bit skewed by such a hot start, but like, to me, that's a winning quarterback stat line. At least it should be if you get what you need out of your defense. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. I'm not exactly sure what the completion percentage was, but he ends up with
56.3%.
Okay, yeah, you'd like that to be higher, but he ends up with an over 100 passer rating. The offense scores 33 points. Even if you take away the 6 at the end, you know, 27 points, like that feels like a winning effort. And I think a lot of people are going after the defense in the comments, and I think it's fair. Like, they needed to get stops in certain times.
Yeah.
They did not get those stops. They give up 35 points, and like, unlike the Broncos offensive numbers, which are a little bit skewed by that Hail Mary at the end of the game, like that's a true 35.
Yeah.
There's not a pick 6 in there that skews anything, a punt return, anything. Like, they gave up 35 points to Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders. And that, to me, you know, if I'm going blame game, I'm probably looking at, Vance Joseph.
Okay.
And saying, I got to have you got an 18-point lead. I got to have better than that. I cannot be up 21-3 and look back at the end of the game and say, we gave up 35 points.
Yeah, and it's weird too because I just feel like there was some highlights, some moments where you're like, okay, this pass rush, like they are getting after Sam Howell, but he was still able to make big plays in key moments. And I mean, when you look at the defense and kind of the game plan that Vance Joseph had and how they executed, what do you think?
Yeah, they didn't execute. I know Vance is going to get a lot of flack, but I think that guys have to execute. We like to say there's no bad calls, it's only bad execution. Even we talked about, once again, early in the podcast, the 2-on-1 to Terry McLaurin. Like, that's a great play design.
Yep.
You have 2-on-1, you have what you want. 9 out of 10 times you expect your guys to make that play, and that's just a non-execution
Fair.
more than it is a bad play call. But I do put a lot of pressure on the defense. Even though Russ has fumbles or turnovers, like, it's okay for us to stop them when they get the ball back before we expect them to as well. When I played with Payton, he didn't make every play right. Payton threw interceptions too, but it was also on us to, like, all right, we're in a bad position. Like, what are we going to do now? We can let them march down the field for 60 yards and get a touchdown, or we can stop them and give the ball back and, like, no harm, no foul. We got them. We'll do it again. And that's what I didn't see. I never saw the defense getting put in a bad situation and turn it into a good situation, or just limit the Commanders to maybe, like, 1 first down, get them off the field, and give the ball back to our offense. The Commanders were able to put together drives, make plays, and really make it count off of turnovers.
Why couldn't this defense defend the screen pass?
That's a tough one, especially, if you get beat on a 2nd and 10 screen, just happens. Sometimes you get you're just not, they call a great play, right? I think there was a 2nd and 18. And they cut to Vance after, on the sideline, and you just saw him go, God damn it. Because that's one where, Todd, you can confirm this. The coaches are on the sideline screaming, watch the screen, watch the screen, watch the screen. And so you can't get beat by screens in long down and distance situations. I thought they were going to go to it again, honestly, at that last 3rd down of the game, because the Broncos couldn't stop it at all. They didn't do so, but it's a combination of a couple good designs. Credit to Eric Bieniemy. They had a sick design early in the game where they brought jet motion one way. Looked like they were leaking out the running back for a slip screen, so the whole defense goes for the running back. It's a screen to the tight end. That's just like, sometimes the offensive coordinator just dials it up. Yeah. Other times, though, like, it's tough to see when they're able to, on 2nd and 18, get a one-on-one of, like, Josie Jewell and an offensive lineman. He's the only guy out there to stop it. There's one later in the game, which only ends up, I think, being like an 18-yard gain or so. But Justin Simmons makes a good play to save it. But, like, you look out there, there's no one. There's 3 Commanders offensive linemen,
and
the running back, and nothing. And so to me, that's a little bit of just discipline, of being able to recognize those things and stay home rather than just pinning your ears back and going. And, that's what those screens try to take advantage of. You get a little over aggressive. You're trying to make a play. Good credit to Eric Bieniemy, I think, for calling them at the right time.
I think there's some tendency there. Like, as players, we like to pick up on tendencies, and I think there must be something that Vance, as a defensive coordinator, is showing, because, like you said, those screen calls were called all at the right time because it was all-out blitzes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You had man-free, everybody's coming. I think, it's about to be a sack. All of a sudden, he gets the ball off, and there's nobody in sight. Like, he's calling them at perfect times. Like, he knows 2nd and long, Vance is going to call the all-out blitz, so I'm going to call a screen right here. Like, it was the perfect setup, and I feel like on those specific plays, the Broncos got out-coached because they were not even in a position to even handle that kind of play. They just kept getting taken advantage of, and they weren't making the plays that count. We got to step it up, man, for sure.
So Eric Bieniemy, he's the buff that gets 2 wins this weekend, while VJ.
I hate talking about him, man, because some of those plays gave me, like, flashbacks of, like, the Chiefs. It felt very Chiefs-ish without having Mahomes or Tyreek Hill running over the top. Like, all the other plays, the screens, the underneath routes, window dressing, that's all Kansas City Chiefs 2015 to 18. Like, it was giving me flashbacks. Like, it was bad.
I do think Sam Howell deserves a lot of credit.
Totally.
His stat line's impressive, but it's even more impressive when you dive deeper. Listen to all the guys that he got involved. McLaurin, 5 for 54. Bates, the backup tight end, 3 for 46. Gibson, 3 for 44. Robinson, 2 for 42. Brown, 3 for 25. Thomas, 2 for 22. DeHudson, 3 for 22. Turner, 2 for 21. Samuel, 3 for 19. I mean, you don't see that a lot from young quarterbacks, just taking what's there. And the Broncos are, a lot of times playing zone defense, and he's just like, I'll hit the open spot of the zone. That was impressive from him. I didn't know he had that in him. A lot of times when you see a young quarterback have a big game, it's because he was locked in with, a great receiver. Like back in the day, Jay Cutler throws the ball 18 times to Brandon Marshall, and it's like, okay, like he had his guy. This was just Sam Howell kind of dissecting the Broncos defense, which is concerning, but you do have to tip your cap.
Have to tip your cap. I was shocked to see a guy who in his third start, like I said, on the road, I think Empower Field has to be one of the toughest places to play. It's so loud. The fan base is so amazing. And then to come out there and just kind of pick and choose where he wanted to put the ball, who he wanted to give it to. Like, it's like you said, it's interesting to not see a guy that young have his favorite guy or two that he looks at. And I mean, I think the future, unfortunately, I hate to say this on this podcast, like, I think the future's pretty bright in Washington right now. Like, they have Ron Rivera, they have a defensive-minded just genius. Obviously, that defensive, you're like, hold on. Yeah. Like, he has his moments.
He's a
You don't like Jack?
good, not great coach.
You don't like Jack?
Oh, I don't like Jack. That's for sure.
Oh,
Jack
dang.
W? Yeah, I'm talking about Ron
Yeah.
specifically.
Oh, okay,
I'm talking
okay.
about Ron. I think their defensive front's really impressive. And, I mean, they outplayed the Broncos today, so.
Did you
I
play
don't
with
know.
Jack?
Yeah, I played for Jack my first year.
Okay.
What do you think
Yeah,
about Jack?
I love Jack. He gave me an opportunity to start. I think I was here for 2 weeks, and he told me I need to start because somebody was injured. So I love Jack. I don't have any bad feelings against him. Again, I was only with him for maybe like 6 or 7 weeks, so it was all the honeymoon phase. But
Fair enough.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
Well, you know him better than I.
You know him better than I. Guys, ready to get into some comments, you think?
Yeah.
Should we check in with our friends from Shady Rays first?
Shady Rays, man. Shady Rays had a week.
They did.
It was a big week for sunglasses.
Big week for Sunnies.
I wore my Shady Rays on back-to-back Buff shows because it was a big week for Shady Rays. If you need to block out the haters, go get some Shady Rays. If you're in Colorado, it's always going to be sunny, regardless of the fact that we're moving into the fall here. So hit up our friends over at Shady Rays. They have amazing styles, great deals as well. When you use the code DNVR, you can buy one and get one free. What's crazy about that is the first time I thought that, I said, okay, I'm just going to get the same pair twice because I always lose my sunglasses. But you don't need to do that because Shady Rays, if you lose or break your sunglasses, will just give you new ones. So get 2 different styles, and you'll be locked in for life with Shady Rays. They really believe in making lifetime customers, so they'll take care of you. Use that code DNVR when you sign up for a pair of Shady Rays.
And shout out to our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery. Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of the DNVR. Use the BreckenridgeBrew.com for the beer locator. You know, we love Breckenridge Brew over here. I think everybody needs to be sipping something after this loss. We're all kind of down in the dumps, and I think a Breckenridge Brew will put you right where you need to be to feel a little bit better about the next 15 weeks. Breckenridge Brew has a beer for any occasion, and there is no better way to watch a game than having some Breck Brew. Breck Brew has been doing it for over 33 years, and it all comes down to the love and passion for making good beer. Once again, check out our friends over at breckbrew.com for their beer locator, the official beer of the DNVR.
Let's go.
Oh, I love beer. Sometimes. Most times.
I'm in more of a Breckenridge distillery mood, if I'm being honest right now, but I do love a Breck Brew.
Do love a Breck Brew, always. Score updates, 10-0 Miami over New England. Super chats, let's check them out. Yeah. Let's see what's going on.
Whoa, I like it.
Holy shnikey.
The people want to be heard from today.
They do. We've got a lot of super chats. You guys want to help me read these off? Let's start with Andrew first.
You got Matthew on the screen.
Oh, got Matthew on the screen here. Hey, that's why you're here.
I got you. I got you.
I'm new at this.
Hey.
I'm like, it's nice to have you here because I feel like you guide me in the right direction.
Yaya was kind of window dressing there. He was trying to get your eyes in one place.
I know.
But
I'm like looking at the wrong spot. Okay, let's start with
I
Matt.
like that I'm always blamed for everything.
Yeah.
I do the right thing. I try hard.
Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's a new day for Yaya.
I promise you, I try really hard.
He's the
I'm just trying to keep everyone's spirits high. I didn't say you did anything wrong.
Honestly, Yaya's the best
Everybody's
producer. We love
friends
him.
by Yaya's. It's fine. Like, Yaya can take the heat.
You're the best. Truly, we appreciate you, man. Okay, let's check in with Matt. He says, love you all. Is there a real possibility that Payton benches Russ this season? If so, what would have to happen? I hope it never comes to that. I saw some head shaking.
I would say no. I don't see a better better player behind him. I don't see a reason why you would bench him. I don't really know at what point where it feels like it'd be bad enough to bench him. Even if it was rough, I think you ride it out and you try to figure it out. You've paid him a boatload of money.
Yeah.
You have to try and figure it out. People were talking to me to see if they were like, will we trade Russ in the middle of the season? I'm like, you paid him too much money to trade him.
He's untradeable. His
and then
contract's
who's gonna want to trade for that contract? It doesn't make any sense. So he's one guy that he's going to be a part of this team. We have to figure it out with him. I don't think we
his
bench
trade
him.
value is.
And I don't think it's necessarily right to be having that conversation right now.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
not a Russ loss, in my opinion. He obviously wasn't perfect. I know when you lose, it's going on the coach or the quarterback or both.
Yep.
But this wasn't a Russ loss.
See, blame game. I think it is Russ, just given that fumble. That was such a bad decision that completely changed the trajectory, the momentum, where this team was headed, how they were feeling. And I just think the second that happened, these guys got down in the dumps and the wheels came off. And I'm going to put that on Russ because that was a controllable situation.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right.
So, I don't know. Let's move on. Andrew. Jeudy is a bust. Change my mind. Todd.
He's not a bust, man. I can't say he's a bust yet. I think he has had to battle some injuries, but when he's on the field and when he's catching the ball, you see how dynamic he is. So I'm not going to call my man a bust. I couldn't do that at this point.
Yeah.
You got to give him more time, yeah.
We can't do this thing where you're either elite or a bust.
Yeah, exactly.
Like right now, Jerry Jeudy is just a good to very good receiver. He has not lived up to the great receiver billing that you hope that you get out of the 15th overall pick, but he is still good. He's also in his first game back from an injury right now. Like, we can't do this thing where everything has to be black and white. He's either amazing or terrible. It's not true. It's just not how it works.
Yeah, and hamstrings are weird. I don't know how many times we're going to say that on this podcast. They're weird. Super weird. You want to read that next one, RK? Oh, wait.
Greg.
This one's about you. This is perfect.
Okay, I guess I'll read it then. Lost my fantasy and the Broncos lost, but RK is a high point tonight. Good to see you. It's good to see all you guys. It's been way too long. It has been a crazy month.
Yeah, what have you been up to?
Everything.
Do we have maybe a congratulations in order for our Broncos fans?
Yeah, I guess I haven't been on this show since I got engaged.
Congratulations. Let's go.
Thank you.
To the best woman we all know, Allie. She's the absolute GOAT.
Amen.
You did it in the coolest way.
Yeah.
Folsom Field, baby.
Right where we met. So we met there, we got engaged there, and then I got the coordinates of Folsom engraved on the inside of the ring.
Love it.
Could you guys be bigger Buffs fans?
No.
I don't think so. I thought I was a big Buffs fan, but no,
That's
not at
love.
all. It's amazing. No, we're really excited for you guys.
I have to say, that wasn't the reason that I wasn't on this show. That was just like a one-day thing.
Yeah, he was busy helping this whole company.
Look what being married is doing to you already.
Yeah, right. We're launching
Todd's
Philly.
wife's off the camera right here as well, by the way. This is Davis.
It took him like 2 months to plan those, so that's why he hasn't been on the pod.
I've been like everywhere in the country. Fort Worth, Philly.
You've been out of the country,
I've been out of the country, Ecuador.
Yeah.
So hopefully more regular appearances coming soon.
We would love that. Okay, next one from Steve. At least we are playing the Bears in 2 weeks. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think that's the hope of everyone right now. I'm watching this Miami game, and their offense looks pretty potent. So, yeah, never losing hope. We could always win. It's any given Sunday. Every team in the league is good. So, but the Bears, I think, is a for sure win for us.
Football,
Fingers crossed.
Sports are crazy, man. Look at the Buffs game last night. Everyone in the world thought they were going to go beat them by 50, and it just never works like that. Whenever you think things going one way, it goes the other. So Broncos have a great chance to, get an upset next week. They're probably going to be, 5-point underdogs at least. And then, like the commenter said, then you get the Bears, which you'll probably be favored against. So you do have a chance to get things straightened out, but I guess one game at a time here.
Sean Payton versus Vic Fangio. This is going to be fun. Got a lot to talk about this week, but we'll move on to the next one. I would have you read one, Todd,
It's
but
so
I don't think you can
hard.
read it, huh?
Yeah, it's very
tiny?
blurry.
Okay, I got him. Oh, can you read that?
Yeah, we are cursed. VJ's defense is bend and break. O-line can't block. The NFL is not calling penalties because Sean's passed. This game hurt.
Wait,
There you go.
You have to zoom in real big because
Yeah.
I can't. It's hard to see on this
We
side.
promise Todd knows how to read.
Todd definitely knows how to
Hard
read.
to read.
It is. We can handle that. I mean, I get it. Yeah, this game kills. But
I don't think
mean,
the
are we
NFL
cursed?
is
I don't think they have a
conspiring
vendetta against Sean.
Sean
no.
Payton.
Yeah,
And you guys know I'm the conspiracy theory guy, so
I like that.
if I don't feel it, then
Imagine being a Broncos fan, being bad for so long, and you think the NFL is like trying to get you.
Yeah.
Like, that's like.
Yeah.
Well, you
It's
gotta-
Now,
it
after
helps
all
It's a
you-
these-
sign of the times.
it helps you sleep at night.
It's a sign of the times. Okay, next one from Andrew. Todd, please show these linebackers how to tackle.
Give me the call, man. Greg, you still have my number. I'm
will
not afraid
say-
to go back out there.
Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell, pretty good tacklers.
They
Yeah.
are. They are. They're talented for sure.
Todd
Hats off to
also
those
is an
guys.
amazing tackler.
Did Alex Singleton hit his
9?
Nine?
I don't know.
Didn't
I
feel
wanna
like
see
it.
it. It didn't
He
feel like
wasn't
it at
all over
all.
the field like he normally was.
No, his hair was
today.
not on fire today.
Yeah, he had a
He only
very
had three.
small, very low game for him.
3.
Three
Three
solo.
tackles.
Yeah.
Yeah, only
Justin
three. so-
Simmons, 10 tackles, led the team.
See, that's
Rarely want to see your
you
safety
don't
lead the
want to
team
see.
in
Yeah,
tackles.
you don't want to see that.
Yeah.
That's not a good place to be.
Yeah, Josie Jewell with 9, Cooper with 8, Damari Mathis 6, Randy Gregory 5. Excited to see Randy Gregory do some work.
Ooh,
today.
I have
That
a
was
positive
nice.
point that I want to make.
There you go.
Yeah, go.
Nick Benito.
Played
Ooh.
really well.
He
Love it.
played really well, and it was a reminder to everyone, including myself, that sometimes these guys need a little bit of seasoning. They need some marinating before they can go out there and be who you thought they could be. Everyone wrote off Nick Benito after last season because he did nothing. But it's just like a nice reminder once in a while to realize, hey, it's not always instant gratification. Got to let guys become who they are in the NFL. He looks now like he could be a baller for this team for a long time.
Yeah, and the pass rush in general, when you have last week no sacks, 4 this week, Randy Gregory got involved, Nick Benito, like that was like what we wanted to see from this group. And they come in bunches. We all know sacks come in bunches.
Yeah, this is the group that we thought that we had.
Yeah.
A group that kind of got after the quarterbacks, made things happen. Even Jonathan Cooper with his sack fumble, they were making big plays. So
Yeah.
I think the pass rush was much better this week as opposed to the other weeks. And it was expected. This Commanders offensive line struggled against good pass rushers. So I expected them to do well, but, expecting them and then actually executing is another thing. So hats off to them because they showed up and they did well.
Okay, here's one from Jacob. If they just burn the whole thing down, who gets traded and what's their value? Absolutely terrible play call on the 2-point try. So creative. I have to assume that that's like a sad smiley or eye roll. I can't really see it, but oh man.
I think this is a conversation for further down the road. It's week 2, so we don't have to go to the burn down.
They're
who gets
quick to
traded
burn
thing.
down everything,
Yeah.
I
aren't they?
know.
But I'll say this: if you were ever going to do that, everyone's fair game except for Pat Surtain, and then Russell Wilson is he's untradeable. So I think you could see, if it gets to that point, a lot of big moves. But it doesn't ever really happen that way in the NFL. Like the Broncos did it last year; they traded Bradley Chubb. That's like as big as it gets.
Yeah.
You don't see teams like in baseball. Sometimes you'll see like a fire sale at the trade deadline where they just trade everyone. It doesn't really work like that in football.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Jacob. How soon can you fire a defensive coordinator asking for a
Golly.
friend? You guys,
They want to burn it down. They want to
Yeah.
fire everybody. I
Honestly-
mean, it's the second week. Like,
I
can
know.
we get some more time?
the
Like,
new
to the
staff.
golly.
Unfortunately for someone like Vance Joseph, it's not 2 weeks for Broncos fans, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about 7 years of losses. So people just don't have patience, despite the fact that yes, he's only been here for 2 weeks in this position right now. He also has a past working against him because people didn't like him as a head coach. So it's overreactionary for sure, but I don't blame the fans for being in this position right now because it just doesn't feel like anything's getting better.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, the Broncos are trying to press every button to fix things. It feels like everything is just null.
I hate that Vance has, I guess, such a short leash with the fans because his first stint here, like, yes, he was the head coach, but I don't think he was really the head coach. He didn't really get to organize the team he wanted to, have the quarterback he wanted to. Like, we had a carousel of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And there's no way that we could have won more than 9 games like we did. I think that was the best we could have done. I think it's a bad I I don't know. I think it's just rough, and I think it's tough that he has to like live with that burden. Like there was more he could have did. Like, has any of our quarterbacks during that time went on to do anything in the league? No. It was a sucky situation. And yes, he was the head coach, but the defense wasn't terrible then. Like we weren't bad, and that was primarily his role, I think, on the coaching staff as well as being the head coach.
What did you love most about VJ?
He's a player's coach. He's somebody that everybody's gonna love and want to play hard for. And want to play your best football for. I think guys love player coach. I think Sean's a player's coach. So he's just one of those guys that you want to play hard for. I think Mr. Fangio was not one of my favorites personally because he was not a player's coach. He did things his way and only his way, and it kind of just rubbed people the wrong way at times. So always loved VJ, always loved his approach to the game and who he was as a person.
We got to give everyone a little bit of time here. It's a brand new coaching staff. It's week 2. But I also understand the fans. Like everyone's sick of this, and so it's going to cause people to be reactionary.
Yeah.
But wasn't that kind of the problem from the beginning? Like, that fans weren't going to have a short leash with him because of everything that happened? Like,
Yeah.
Everyone
they
has
knew
a
that
short
coming
leash. It's everyone's coming in carrying the burden of those who came before them.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's check in with Chris Peters. Not looking good for the Broncos team, but still hopeful they can turn it around. If we can end this quarter of the season 2-2, there's still a chance to make some noise. Thanks for being on the pod, TD.
That's what, I agree.
Yeah,
There
agree.
you go. There's a positive
Stay
We
comment.
like
hopeful.
that. Thanks, Chris.
Keep hope alive.
Keep it alive.
Oh, God.
Next one's from
Andrew.
Andrew. We are the new Raiders. Change my mind. I will change your mind. Well, I don't know about that part. But that's what I was going to say is, like, the Raiders have always had this reputation of dirty, undisciplined, that sort of thing. Obviously, you have the hit from K-Jack, but I don't think the Broncos are taking on that personality by any stretch of the mind. The Raiders also, I don't know. They're just the Raiders.
While Sean Payton lost to Josh McDaniels in his Broncos debut, he's nothing like Josh McDaniels either.
I will say this, though, and this one hurts me to say. I always say whenever, like, the Raiders blow a game, I say Raiders going to Raider.
Yeah.
Whenever the Chargers blow a game, I say Chargers going to Charger.
Are the Broncos going to Bronco?
I have nothing to say if someone wants to say Broncos going to Bronco after that one.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that.
I didn't want to say
out.
it either, but
Yeah, I can't say that. Yeah, we're definitely not the Raiders, man. The Raiders are just all around, I think, a crazy organization, crazy fan base. I think we have gentlemen and scholars in our fan base.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We're much better people.
General lack of class. And Mark Davis's hair, that's just, he's in a league of his own.
By the way, shout out to Sac State.
Yeah.
What did we do?
Beat
dub.
Stanford.
We did what?
Beat Stanford.
What?
Did you not know?
Yeah, baby. What? We're taking everybody down. Sac State for the win
And how about
against
this?
Stanford.
Against the coach who left Sac State for Stanford.
Yep, you had to get
that's
that whooping.
incredible.
Yep.
I love it.
He was running from it, but we gave it to him. Stingers up, baby, all the way.
Let's
Here's
go.
one from Liam. We miss you, RK. Sorry you had to come back to a loser's lounge. We're sorry, too. The things we would have done for this to be a winner's lounge.
I really thought, I was like, man, maybe in the first half, I was like, maybe I have to start drinking so I can, really bring the vibes on this post-game show. No.
You still bring the vibes.
you
so
should
we
have
love
still
you.
drank. It would have been better for you.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, here's Steven. SP, Sean Payton. Better do something because right now he looks dumb for all that talking he did. It's early, too. And, week 5 doesn't even have the hype around it anymore with Aaron Rodgers out. But, I think there's probably a few fans out there and a lot of people maybe even within the building that are thinking about what Sean Payton said throughout this offseason and where this team's at right now. But
Talking's
talking.
Talking cheap.
Talking is dangerous in this day and age.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers what you said.
They got all the
people
receipts.
don't forget.
I was sitting there in Folsom last night thinking, man, if we lose this game, I'm going to get buried.
Yeah, exactly. There was one point where I sat down because I was just like, I can't watch in this exact moment because I've talked so much shit this week.
Even Coach Prime said, I was sitting there on the sideline saying, Norvell's going to be insufferable in his press conference if we lose this game. So, yeah. No one forgets anymore.
Nobody
And that
forgets.
actually brings up a good point. Our Broncos Twitter, DNVR Broncos Twitter, is getting slammed by Commanders because somebody said that Sam Howell is just begging to turn the ball over. I don't remember which one it was in the panel of us three.
I think I said it.
Yeah, and it's just like getting buried on our Twitter. Right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it happens. It happens
Well,
to everybody.
It's a
part of
Broncos
it.
podcast. What are we supposed to do? You know what I mean?
We're not gonna give somehow any credit. Like,
No,
Yeah.
why would we?
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
young quarterback that has turned the ball over.
Yeah,
Like,
he did the right thing. But like,
Yeah.
like,
he had a
Sometimes-
good game.
his
Calm
third game.
down, boys. He had one good game.
Yeah, literally.
Sometimes, you just got to stand in the pocket and take the hit after a game like that.
Yeah.
And he did stand in the pocket and take some hits today, too.
Literally,
Gotta give him
yeah.
some credit.
I was speaking figuratively.
Yeah, but he did do that as well. Okay, Patriot Tex. Can't do it anymore. This defense is sad. Every screen went for 20 yards. We already talked about that. We are the new Cardinals now. Suck for the number one
Jeez.
pick. See Williams Slaughter. Okay, we're going to move on to the next one because, yeah, just
Let's at
insufferable.
least, can we make a rule, not talk about the draft until at least week 4.
Week 4 is still a little early.
It is early, but
but if you're 0-4,
Yeah,
you have to,
exactly.
you have
Yeah.
to get a plan.
We're
You
looking
have
at
to
the
make a
draft for
plan.
sure.
You guys, I cannot spend 16 weeks, 14 weeks talking about
Call
the draft.
Caleb Williams.
Like,
Don't worry. It's
I
not going to be the
can't.
Cardinals.
at least
Yeah.
until Caleb Williams comes to Boulder.
Yeah, true.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, governing boredom. Why would they not target Mims once in the second half? Dude looks like a stud. Mathis cannot keep giving up 2 touchdowns a game. He is a legit problem. I agree with the Mims take. Like, speechless. I don't know why you don't go to Mims more in the second half.
Yeah. Mathis did give up 2 touchdowns, but we talked about some of the plays. Some of the plays supposed to have help over the top. He's playing underneath. He's supposed to be able to take chances and take chances on the ball, man. I think he needs a little bit more help, but I don't think it's all his fault. Mims definitely should have been targeted more in the second half. He made some explosive plays. That was one thing that the Broncos were missing last game. And towards the second half of this game, that's another thing we're missing. So I agree with you on that.
Fair enough. Move on.
Yep.
Okay, is this the last one? From Dylan Smith. I feel like we have no patience anymore because of the last few years. However, our offense looks incredibly better than last year, and I feel like our defense will improve. Hang in there, Broncos country. Love this team still. Yes, Dylan.
Great points.
Same. The patience thing, I mean, everybody's frustrated. This entire fan base, I'm sure the team, the guys, like everyone associated with the Denver Broncos right now is frustrated. So, yeah, you're not alone as the fans here, and we're right there with you guys.
I mean, I think they had 11 possessions today, if I counted correctly, really quickly there,
Fingers
which
crossed.
means they averaged 3 points per possession. Last
Yeah.
week was 2.7 points per possession.
Improvement.
That was actually an elite number last week. It was just such a weird game where they only had 6 possessions. This week they actually improved on that number with more possessions. The offense certainly has potential. There's good things there. I know that Hail Mary kind of skews the number a little bit, but even then, there are things to be excited about within the offense. No one wants to think about that right now when you're 0-2. That's the problem. They say winning cures everything. Well, whatever the opposite of that is true of losing.
Losing completely just wrecks all of our souls. I
Shows
think is
all your
pretty much
flaws.
where,
It really
it shows all the
your
flaws. Yeah, I think what's interesting is just even talking about the Denver defense. Like, the defense will improve when obviously that's the strength of this team heading into this season, and it's something that we thought that we could rely on. And it's been a rough couple weeks for those guys, but still a lot of time left, and they're going to get back to the drawing board tomorrow.
A lot of time left. Vance isn't giving up. He knows
Yeah.
it's a long season. So he'll definitely try and do everything he can to get them boys ready to play next Sunday, because that's what it's all about. I mean, we got to wash ourselves clean of this game. This game is over. There's nothing you can do about it. On to Miami, and it's time to get a win. It's time to get a win.
Well, guys.
Well, I
It
think
was
that's
fun.
it. We're tired. We were both at that game last night, huh?
Oh, I did a post-game show
Yeah.
after that game. So I got home at 4:18 a.m.
Yeah, I was getting in
crazy.
bed at 3:50 a.m. So tough to see such a great football game last night here in Colorado and then see this one here today. But
It was a good game.
it was a good game. It was a good game. Love what we saw early from this Broncos team. Hopefully they could put it all together next week in Miami going up against the Dolphins. So
It was great hanging with you guys. I
we're
missed
so
ya.
glad you were here.
Yes,
Thanks, RK.
definitely.
And
course.
thanks, Todd. Appreciate you. We will see you guys tomorrow. Check in here with Zac Stevens. He'll be here for the DNVR Broncos pod. We'll see you guys then.